Oh, good day, family. Good day. I just wanted to come on and read a little bit. Got me some spring water. Yeah, I got me some spring water. Oh, that clock got 12:12. It's a few minutes fast though. And this one got 12:09. I was repotting my shoots. My garlic and my ginger is growing fine. I got them in some potting soil. Everybody else ain't doing nothing. Well, most of them ain't. The grandbabies, their cantaloupe and watermelon are growing wonderful. I'm gonna have to go pick them up tomorrow so that they can come over and repot them in some potting soil. And I got their buckets. See, these are theirs. And it's watermelon and cantaloupe. So I got my garlic and my ginger in some potting soil. And I have some cilantro over there. I got shoots on those. My cilantro got some shoots on it. It's not very big. And what else do I have? Oh, my bell peppers. And everything else, I'm going to have to start it over again. Yeah, because it's my fault. I had no idea what I was supposed to do. But that's okay, because now I know, and I can let others know. I'll mention it's something really silly, but it's simple. And I didn't know that, instead of just continually using the seeding soil, I was supposed to just go and get some potting soil now, because the stems need something a little denser to hold them up after they done grew from the seeds. And they real thin. That's fine for the seeding soil because it's real fluffy and light. But once them stems come up and stuff, they need something a little heavier to hold them. So now I know, but I didn't know at first. But yeah, I'm going to have me a garden. I'm going to have a garden. I suggest you get you one too if you don't have one. If you ain't got your garden yet, get it. And keep all your soil. Lead 73 said keep your soil. And I even got some perlite that I had before. And I just mixed it in because it's supposed to help with the aeration and the drainage and stuff. But yeah, it's been a wonderful day today. I don't have many bad days. No, I just have days that are less good than my good days. Wonderful days. And yeah, it's all about how you look at it. But we just waiting on one more. And we're going to read Tears We Cannot Stop by Michael Eric Dyson. And I'm sure you've seen it, but look at it. My brother. Right there. Mm-hmm. And he's unapologetically black. He's still affectionate. And that's fine. If that's him, yeah, he can be affectionate and stuff he like. As long as he let it be known how he feels about everything. And I don't have no problem with him, Just like I like to let folks know I don't wish any harm on anyone. I don't wish no harm on white folks. No, they making that karma themselves. Yep, they done make that karma themselves. And everybody else have too. see, this is my cilantro. This is my cilantro. I'm gonna it's gonna have to wait till tomorrow because I'm out of potting soil now. But yes, so I feel a whole lot better about my garden. But we have two. I can begin. Good day and thank you. Good day and gratitude. Let me cover that up because I don't really like to be focusing on that number and stuff. It's so good to see you today. I hope you had a wonderful day today. Both of you. I know I did. I can't complain unless it's about my people. And I don't. I try not to complain about nothing. I do fuss, though. I do fuss, but I try not to complain unless it's about my people. Because it's always a solution. You just got to find it. Yeah, I got plastic all over the living room and stuff because I stopped and got me some potting soil. And as soon as I got home, I got busy. And I got them up now. I'm just going to sit them outside once we're done. So in the morning, they can get that good sunlight. Yes, I want it to be where the sun would just come up and be bright in my living room. But, yeah, it didn't happen like that. But that's okay. That's fine. Yeah, they can get it. I'm going to set them out there and stuff, But, yeah, let's start. I'm Face the Nation. We are on Bolden Unchained. We're here to assist Black America. We look through a spiritual lens of loyalty, resilience, and education. I ain't going to keep us all night. Yep, you already know I try not to be here till 3 o'clock because we have other channels and lessons to learn. We need rest so we can rejuvenate, process the day's events and stuff, what's going on and stuff in our lives and the rest of the world. You got things to do and stuff. So, yeah, I try not to keep our time and stuff. And, yeah, we looking through those spiritual lens, y'all, because I'm not religious. I'm not religious. I want you to know that first and foremost, I am not religious. I do not forgive the torture and the trauma that my people have endured and are still enduring. I don't forgive none of it. I do not forgive any of it, honey. I'm waiting on karma to come back. Yes, and I do believe vengeance belongs to my ancestors also. You say vengeance belongs to the Lord, and I know you say he's a jealous God, but from what I'm reading, vengeance belongs to my ancestors too. Sure does. And not us. Ain't nothing we can do physically, but mentally and spiritually, we can wake our asses up to what's really going on, to our open enemy. We got an open enemy, y'all. Our ancestors had an open enemy. Don't make me pull out Red Summer and show you exactly what I'm talking about when I say open enemy. So, but yeah, we just got to acknowledge these things and be able to accept them. Unapologetically Black. What you being sorry for? Oh, yeah, I know it was a long time ago. Things that changed and stuff. What? We got to be able to be unapologetically about this. Our ancestors didn't do nothing wrong. Only thing they did was their sincerity. They trusted. They were sincere. They believed it. They put all their faith, all their efforts into, trying to make this work, trying to make integration work. But it did not work because white people was not sincere. White people had an ulterior motive. Now, those that's down here on our level and stuff that we deal with every day, and you live with them, you're married with them, they know your routine in and out. Maybe they didn't know or have any direct hand in it, but they people did. Their families did. Hell, all you got to do, hell, is they know their family history. Hell, they probably remember and know exactly who murdered John Hartfield. Them families. Them families. Just because they done married and she got a new last name, that don't mean a goddamn thing. It's still that family. And there's so many of them. 100 years of lynching, it's so many of them. So hell no, I don't forgive nothing. And ain't nobody gonna tell faces for you. You a damn lie. Stop lying to us. And let us have our sincerity in our emotions about our ancestors. You better stop. That's going to be your karma. But yeah, see, I don't want to fuss at y'all and stuff. I don't even want to go like that tonight. Stuff. We just going to read, and then we're going to process this and stuff. Then tomorrow, yeah, I might share some more of my gardening and stuff. We're going to read tomorrow, Powernomics anyway. We'll just see when it get here. If I got my grandbabies over and stuff that early, I probably won't even go on live because this channel is not for the children. It's just not for them and stuff. I think that's about it. I just want y'all to know so you won't spend your time here. All that forgiving and, your religiousness and stuff. It won't let you be in your sincerity. It won't let you embrace your sincerity about our ancestors. And that's okay. Go over there where sister at. Go over there where sister at, where you can forgive and forget and, and y'all could just saying kumbaya, I guess. I don't know. I just don't want you to be irritated here. Because this channel either going to resonate, or it's going to irritate. And I don't want to fool none of y'all, waste your time and stuff, because that ain't even my style. You ain't supposed to be here. You ain't supposed to be here and stuff. Don't waste your time. Don't. We on a tight line now. The way things going. I don't know if a meteor or a missile going to come. So I'm just saying, don't waste your time. Don't sit there on the other side of this screen and just tolerate me. No, you better get yourself somewhere where you can get these lessons. You get yourself ready. What is the saying? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Yep, I'm just saying. But I think that's about it. Oh, I got to do the copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing, but it ain't. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Honey, our history, our story, honey. I'm just proud. I'm proud. I'm grateful. I'm happy. I trust my ancestors and stuff that I can read our stories for us. I can do that for us. Yes, I thank my ancestors for even having the strength and the courage to believe in me. Yeah, I kept pulling back, and they kept pulling me forward. So just pick me up, just set my ass down. Yes, I thank them. Sure do. And even if it wasn't me, I still would try to heed what that person is saying in that message. All of us are being talked to. Orally by us, we talking, communicating, teaching, reading. The ancestors is talking to you. I know you see it, you feel it. You got to feel it. Cosmic energy, Mother Gaia, all of this that's going on, it's got to be resonating something. I don't know if it's in your higher chakras or your lower chakras, but it's got to be moving something. And if it ain't, it's probably because you got so many blockages up. Turn that music off. Go back to your mama's music. Go back to that music that make you feel something, a goosebump or something. What you're watching on TV, turn that shit off and go get you something that's going to have you where you can even out and your thoughts can become a little more focused on your people. Black media. We got to do something. You got to do something. Ancestors know I'm sure trying, honey, over here. And I want us all to. I want us to be okay. Now, we got to survive through this Black America. We done survived everything else. This futuristic world that's coming up and stuff. Yes, some mouse done got in here. You better not knock my lamp down. And you better not knock over my vegetables over here. Come think about this lamp. Oh, yeah. But let's go on and read and stuff because we already know. We're on chapter 2, see? Tears We Cannot Stop by Michael Eric Dyson. This here is a sermon to white America. This is a sermon to white America. And that sermon is putting it very nicely, very respectful. Michael Eric Dyson, my brother, he's a minister. So he's very respectful and courteous. He's frank. Don't get me wrong. He unapologetic about this. But he is also still, being civil and nice and cordial and stuff. I try to be cordial. I can't say I'm going to be affectionate and stuff like that, but that's just me. But, I really appreciate him and his writing this book. He got other books also. We got one over there, another one. But we're going to get more of his work and stuff because I like him. I love my brother. Ooh, y'all, the 5 stages of white grief. Ooh, honey, let's read. Let's face it. We talking to white folks. Let's face it. You've grieved ever since you were forced to share some of your historical shine with the black folk you kept underfoot for centuries. You didn't think we deserved that much attention. You've tried to hide us, even bury us for too long. First, we were the enslaved lackeys at your beck and call, then the servants at the family dinner. Later, we were the embarrassing kinfolk at the family picnic. We finally made it to the holiday gatherings too, but your paternalism relegated us to the children's table. You were forced to invite us to affairs of state, but you mostly ignored us. It has been exceedingly tough for you to wrap your minds around the notion that black folks are your equals in any realm. White peoples. The exception might be sports, but you control the purse strings there too, so no sweat off your billions. And as long as we know our place and don't, for instance, take a knee while the national anthem is played to protest injustice, we are well rewarded for our athletic exploits. Gladiators for your titillation and fantasy leagues. Ooh, titillation. Titillation. That's my first time seeing that word. Gladiators for your titillation and fantasy leagues. But when that fantasy is up and proper black manhood and womanhood is reclaimed, we know that you revert to your old ways. Ooh. We know that you revert to your old ways and think of us as not worth the trouble. In most other realms of pursuit, you deem us largely incompetent and irrelevant. And yet, black folk, and the rest of the rainbow of colors too, keep proving you wrong. It is being proved wrong that leaves you distressed. There is often sorrow and anguish in white America when blackness comes in the room. It gives you a bad case of what can only be called, colloquially, the racial blues, but more formally, let's name it cheap. Chronic historical evasion and trickery disorder. This malady is characterized by bouts of depression when you can no longer avoid the history that you think doesn't matter much, or when your attempts to deceive yourself and others about the low quality of all that isn't white fall flat. It's understandable that you experience mood swings. It bears some resemblance to the 5 stages of grief a person passes through when they know they dying. You're determined not to lose the battle to control the historical narrative. After all, you realize that the pressure to broaden the scope of American history pries loose your headlock on the national mythology. Other cultures and other peoples are having their say as well, especially the black voices that have too long been suppressed. So you portray blackness as an enemy of all that is smart or sophisticated or uplifting or worth emulating or transmitting. But the debt America culture owes to black folk can't be easily erased, and it won't. So you fight even harder to keep our story from being told in all its unforgiving brilliance and its undiscouraged beauty. Yet you don't seem ever, finally, to win the war to keep our history hidden. And the more you lose that battle, mostly because it's built on lies, the more you kick your defensiveness into higher gears and vent your frustration, resentment, and sadness. So the quicker you admit you're a victim of cheat, that you got it bad and that ain't good, the better off you will be. And the rest of us will be too. If not treated early on, cheat leads to other disorders, including fake. Boy, including fake. That means finding alternative knowledge elusive. Fool, forsaking others' outstanding literacy, and lie, lacking introspecting, lacking introspection entirely. So because of cheat, you end up with all them other disorders. Fake, fool, and a lie. A liar. White folks, the only way for you to overcome cheat is to confront the disorder head on and acknowledge the 5 stages of white racial grief that you experience as you grapple with the presence of Black folk and the history they created and the very way they have changed American society. You are often stumped by feats of Black confidence, or you display a tolerance for Blackness that slides quickly to condescension. 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 There's resistance and rage too. There's anger at the refusal of the other to cave into whiteness, to see history, American history, the way you see it. Anger at our refusal to curtail Black agency. During the 80s and 90s and the ballyhoo canon wars, you were fit to be tied when a writer like Toni Morrison, who should have been recognized long ago for her genius, finally got her due as an American master. It upsets you when Black folks say that white history, dressed up as American history, is not a perfect picture of reality. Beloved, white racial grief erupts when you fear losing your dominance. You might get angry at our demand that you live up to the sense of responsibility you say others should have, especially Black folks and people of color. You often tell us to pull up ourselves by our bootstraps, to make no excuses for our failures, and to instead admit our flaws and better ourselves. And yet, so many of you, beloved, white folks are obstinate to a fault, intransient, and thin-skinned when it comes to accepting the calling you effortlessly offer to others. Donald Trump is only the most recent and boisterous example. And going back, I was reading one part of this right here, and I was just thinking about it. They've taken everything. Yeah, it was something I read, and it made me think about it. Well, wow, this was a #1 book. The first stage of white racial grief is to plead utter ignorance about Black life and culture. It seems impossible to pull off, but many of you white folks appear to live in what the late writer and cultural critic Gore Vidal called the United States of amnesia. When Black folk get in your face or even just expect you to know a little bit about Black life, to take the past into account when speaking about Black life, your reaction is often simply to forget it. It is a willful refusal to know. So often, many of you white folks claim no knowledge of Black life, as if it never played a role in your world or made a difference to your existence. But it is no less distressing that you white folks can so easily dismiss the history of a people you share space and time with as you both carve out your destiny together on the same national geography. It is not unlike those explorers and pilgrims who discovered America, that is, discovered a land full of native people. Native lives stopped mattering before they ever began to count. The historic erasure of Blackness strengthens this racially blind version of American history, makes it easier to make the argument that Black folk never did a damn thing for the nation. Our Congressman Steve King wondered in 2016, where in history are these contributions that have been made by these other categories of people? Where did any other subgroup of people, other than whites, contribute more to civilization? King said that Western civilization is rooted in Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and the United States of America, and every place where the footprint of Christianity settled the world. Let's be honest, my friends, white folks. This kind of sentiment is far more widespread than you may care to admit. It makes one thing clear. Black and white folk are often speaking different languages with no common frame of reference and therefore no possibility of understanding each other. Thus, the crudest conclusions possible in American history have stuck to Black life. Black folk are often seen as simians at a high table of culture, aping white society. This poisons public discourse, distorting the history of American politics. Liberal Professor Mark Lilla, Lilla, argued that Hillary Clinton's calling out explicitly to African American and other groups in the 2016 campaign was a strategic mistake because it left out the white working class and the highly religious. But the history of American politics is the history of accommodating whiteness at many levels. And while religiously influenced working class folk surely needed to be heeded. Wait a minute, I fucked that up. But the history of American politics is the history of accommodating whiteness at many levels. And while religiously influenced working class folk surely need to be heeded, it is odd that Lilla's invective against identity politics appeals to the religiously rooted working working class at the expense of the Black or brown religiously influenced working classes. Lilla's view is amnesia with a bang, or really a fang, an exposed snarl at the inconvenient messiness of real history. Real American history is the sticky web in which Black and white are stuck together. Stop trying to pretend that you don't know this, white folks. You know y'all know. White folk, y'all know. You can kill us, even brutalize us, but history makes escape from us impossible. And even greater fear lurks barely beneath the surface. What horrifies many of y'all white folks is that America at its root has been in part made by Blackness. God forbid, but it may be in part be Black, but it may in part be Black. Slavery made America a slave to Black history. As much as white America invented us, the nation can never be free of us now. America doesn't even exist without us. That's why Barack Obama was so offensive, so scary to white America. America shudders to itself. America shudders and says to itself, the president is supposed to be us, not them. In that light, Donald Trump's victory was hardly surprising. The one-drop rule, the notion to racial periods that even a speck of Black blood contaminates one heritage has always signified that white America believed that Blackness was superior. Even the slightest presence of Black blood was able to overcome and outsmart whiteness. Blackness had to be taboo because it couldn't be vanquished or destroyed. Blackness feels like a curse to your view of history. White America, you deliberately forget how whiteness caused Black suffering, and it shows in the strangest ways. You forget how you kept Black folk poor as sharecroppers. You forget how you kept us out of your classrooms and in subpar schools. You forget how you denied us jobs, and when we got them, how you denied us promotions. You forget how you kept us out of the suburbs, and now that you're gentrifying our inner city neighborhoods, you pushing us to the suburbs. You forget that you kept us from voting and then blamed us for being lackadaisical at the polls. Although it sounds delusional, perhaps more than a few of you feel the way Donald Trump's former campaign chair in Mahoning County, Ohio, Kathy Miller, does. If you're Black and you haven't been successful in the last 50 years, it's your own fault, Miller said. You've had every opportunity it was given to you. You've had the same schools everybody else went to. You had benefits to go to college that white kids didn't have. You had all the advantages and didn't take advantage of it. It's not our fault, certainly, she also said. I don't think there's any racism until Obama got elected. I don't think there was any racism until Obama got elected. Think of how the members of the House of Representatives, influenced by the Tea Party, opened the 112th Congress in 2011 by reading out loud on the House floor the Constitution in its entirety. Except they didn't read the entire or the original version, which included Article 1, Section 2, which says that black folk equal 3/5 of a white person. The representatives lapsed into calculated forgetting. All of them did. That sort of behavior is not limited to the mostly white men who make up our Congress. It bleeds into the general population as well. How many high school social studies textbooks, like the one prepared for us to use in Texas, forget racial terror by downplaying slavery and barely mentioning segregation, permitting a seamless transition from bondage to freedom? Toni Morrison, in her great novel, Beloved, I'm wondering, do I got Beloved? I don't think so. I'm going to look and see. In her great novel, Beloved, replaces memory and forgetting with rememory and disremember. To help us think about who or what the nation chooses to forget or remember. President Donald Trump chose Make America Great Again as his 2016 campaign slogan. It sounded the call to white America to return to simpler, better days. But the golden age of that past is a fiction, a projection of nostalgia that selects what is most comforting to remember. It summons a past that was not great at all, that was not great for all. In fact, it is a past that was not great at all. Confirmation. Now with racism and sexism clouding the culture, going back to a time that was great depends on deliberate disremembering. One of the great perks of being white in America is the capacity to forget at will. The sort of amnesia that blankets white America is reflected in an Alan Bergman and Marilyn Bergman lyric sung by Barbra Streisand. What's painful to remember, we simply choose to forget. That's a lyric. That's one of the lines in the song. The second stage of grief flashes in the assertion, it didn't happen. Instead of forget it, there is denial. Civil rights icon Joseph Lowery often says that we live in the 51st state, the state of denial. Denial is even more sinister than amnesia because there is some concession to facts that are then roundly negated. Here's where the gaslight effect goes wild. Black folks are made to feel crazy for believing something they know to be true. I was trying to think of that law. Oh, it's a disease they said black folks have for wanting to be free from escaping from slavery. I forgot, it's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, white folks. Beloved, white folks, you must admit that denial of fact, indeed, denial as fact, has shaped your version of American history. This is how you can ingeniously deny your role in past racism. You acknowledge that bigotry exists. For instance, you will often say that separate but equal public policy was bad. You just don't find too many current examples of the persistence of racism. Like the fact that, given they have the same years of education, a white man with a criminal record is often more likely to get a job than a black man with no record. Or that even when they commit the same crime, black folk are more likely to do more time than a comparable white person. Or that a black male born in 2001 has a 32% chance of going to jail, 1 in 3 shot, whereas a Latino has a 17% chance and a white male a 6% chance. Or that black women are far more likely than others to be evicted, or that police stop black and brown folk far more than white folk, or that black folk are frequently illegally excluded from jury service. Sure, there are no white and black water fountains, but inequality persists. White denial thrives on shifts and pivots. It was my ancestors, not me, who did this to you. But what looks like confession is really denial. To the them, not me defense, denies how the problem persists in the present day. It is best to think of systems and not individuals when it comes to racial benefit in white America. Thinking of it in individual terms removes blame from many of you who are present beneficiaries of past behavior. The institution of national life favor your success, whether that means you get better schools and more jobs or less punishment and less jail. Not because you're necessarily smarter or better behaved, but because being white offers you benefits, understanding, and forgiveness where needed. A great deal of white advantage has nothing to do with how you actively resist black success or the success of other people of color. It's what you do for each other, how you take each other into account that makes up a lot of what we come to call white privilege. When it comes to race, the past is always present. What Jim Crow achieved in the past through, say, redlining, where services like banking, insurance, healthcare, and supermarkets are denied to specific racial or ethnic groups, continues to this day. Former segregation and housing policies may have been struck down, but steering where real estate brokers direct home buyers, but steering where real estate brokers direct home buyers towards or away from particular neighborhoods based on race is as effective as ever. School segregation is no longer the law of the land, but classrooms today are depressingly resegregated. Yet no one is responsible. All we hear is the refrain from reggae star Shaggy's hit, "It Wasn't Me." We end up with what social scientist Eduardo Bonilla Silva calls racism without racists. My friends, if you simply look around and reflect on even recent history, you will see that denial shows up in painful ways, even among young folk. A recent study by the Public Religion Research Institute shows that 56% of millennials think that the government spends too much time on black and minority issues, and an even higher number think that white folks suffer discrimination. And it is just as big a problem as that suffered by black folks and other minorities. Or those white youth wonder why they don't have a white entertainment channel to match BET. In the political realm, look at the Supreme Court in the Shelby versus Holder Voting Rights Amendment decision. The court struck down the requirement to get legal permission to change voting practices because it concluded such permission was no longer necessary. The court denied the primary reason for recent black voting success, the existence of the rule for preclearance, where a jurisdiction covered under the law cannot change voting procedure without written approval from the Department of Justice in Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act. Now they were throwing it out because the very success of the rule counted as evidence that is no longer needed. It was a nifty and nasty bit of circular reasoning that denied the facts. Can you not imagine how this sort of reasoning makes us just a little bit crazy? Oh, good day, Calvin. It's so good to see you. Oh, hey, Calvin. How you doing, my brother? It's so good to see you. And happy Father's Day every day. Every day. We ain't finna be bound by these holidays no more. Fuck the dumb shit. Every day is Mother's Day for my sister. Treat them accordingly. And my brother, every day is Father's Day. Love on my nieces and nephews. Love them babies. Black babies. Yeah, every day Father's Day and every day is Mother's Day. And you know every day is Grandmama's Day. Show wheels. Yeah, we reading. We still reading. Yeah. Michael Eric Dyson. Yeah, we ain't got that much longer. We're gonna be out here in a jiffy. Show wheels. Let me see here. Yeah, reading about white folk. This is a sermon to white America by Michael Eric Dyson. Tears we cannot stop. Black folk were successfully voting because they were being protected. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg torched her conservative colleagues with blistering eloquence. She argued that throwing out preclearance, the Section 4 formula, when it has worked and is continuing to work to stop discriminatory changes, it's like throwing away your umbrella because you're not getting wet. That's just one example of why Ginsburg may be black folks' favorite justice since the death of Thurgood Marshall, despite calling Colin Kaepernick's protest of police brutality dumb and disrespectful, an issue I'll take up later. Instances of denial clutter the landscape. Fox News channels such denial nightly. I'm distressed to see the right-wing network blaring from the television screens and the restaurants of hotels I stay in when I'm on the road in states like Ohio and Florida, places where working class and poor whites don't fare so well. And yet they cling to the racial fantasies of going back to a time when they ran things. But just as it was true when, say, Ronald Reagan was in office, working class white people and their poor kinfolks won't benefit from the economic policies of the conservative politicians they depend on to diss black people and other minorities. What they gain from not being seen as black, they lose in real economic terms. It's a Faustian racial bargain. Faustian. Faustion. Faustin. The third stage of white racial grief, appropriation, looms everywhere. If black history can't be forgotten or denied, white America can simply take it. Appropriation is a tricky symptom of white racial grief, and one that ironically defers to black culture even as it displaces it. White culture bows at the shrine of black culture in order to rob it of its riches. White America loves black style when its face and form are white. Rachel Dolezal, Dolezal, former president of the NAACP in Seattle, Washington, caused quite a stir when she lied about her racial identity, which was white, and claimed to be black. She was eventually forced to leave her post at the NAACP. Dolezal didn't feel that her white identity should in any way steal the heart of blackness that be within her. White Australian rapper Iggy Azalea mimicked the dialect of the hood in America to cash in on the desire to have white hip-hop stars equal the achievements of their black peers, much like the truly great Eminem. Eminem has paid homage to hip-hop culture with extraordinary talent and hard work, just as Justin Timberlake does with rhythm and blues, except in the case of Timberlake, he picks and chooses his way through blackness. He's black at awards times, not so much when it comes to taking heat with Janet Jackson over their controversial halftime Super Bowl performance in which he tore off part of her clothing at the end of the act. Timberlake proves that cultural critic Greg Tate is right. Such white stars want everything but the burden of the blackness they sample. The credo of appropriators is, it happened to me too. Blackness, that is, but not its cost or penalties. Moreover, these stars claim an outsider status without actually having to be outsiders. The novelist Lionel Shriver threw an opening salvo in the newest installment of the Writing Wars to determine who could say what about whom. Shriver dropped her bomb in 2016 when she addressed the Bisbane Writers Festival and rode herd on her free speech horse against political correctness. Millennials and their generation trailing them are especially vulnerable on this score, Shriver argued, because they are in a race to see who can be more righteous and agreed, who can replace the boring old civil rights generation with a spikier brain. As Shriver sees it, the left has become all too nervous about living in the skin or brain or experiences of other people. The demand that white folks write only about what they know or experience is utter nonsense to Shriver. It is suffocating orthodoxy. It is suffocating orthodoxy that imperils the art of the novel. Otherwise, all I could write about would be smart alecky 59-year-old 5'2" white women from North Carolina. It's easy to empathize with Shriver. After all, if you only write what you know, then you are left with precious little to write about. Shriver's argument, however, fails to see how other cultures, their people, their ideals, their identities have always been treated as only fiction, have always been looted of their inherent value and forced to fit into the schemes, worldviews, or novels of folk, especially white folk, who were invested in denying their own privilege and power to treat these other cultures just as they please. When Shriver talks about free speech, she gets the speech part right, but she only sees free from the perspective of the person doing the writing, not the one being written about. Shriver, as a white writer, is quite free to roam across the globe in search of whatever experiences or insights will light her way to a nuanced, engaged piece of fiction. But that freedom is not merely artistic. In fact, her art, the art of white writers, rests on power relations that have left Black culture at a disadvantage, vulnerable to literary cherry picking. Shriver's grumbling is dressed up as the will to free expression, which should characterize the art of writing in a truly liberated culture. But underneath her gripes are a body of ideas and identities that have been abused and appropriated against the will of other cultures and used at the discretion of writers who pay no mind to the people whose experiences they seek to borrow. The people of color, for instance, have been cogs in the cultural machinery of white writers. Of course, the writer's purpose might be a good one, such as telling a story that hasn't been told. But if the folk whose story is told don't have the opportunity to tell their own story, what is on the surface a good thing becomes a matter of who has the power and privilege to spin narratives. We must also not overlook how the use of such experiences can reinforce beliefs about communities of color that have harmful political consequences, such as William Styron's controversial novel, The Confessions of Nat Turner, who painted Turner as a man more obsessed with violent sexual lust for a blonde teenager than political rebellion against slavery. Nor should we ignore how the appropriation of minority cultures by white writers with a political advantage leaves people of color little room to speak their truths in their own ways. And we certainly can't ignore how the more famous members of your tribe often get angry when they're called on their appropriation. Fashion designer Marc Jacobs used candy-colored Etsy dreadlocks on mostly non-Black models in his 2016 fashion show, provoking ire and outrage. Critics claimed he trafficked in the worst sort of racial appropriation. Jacobs shot back at all who cry cultural appropriation or whatever nonsense about any race or skin color wearing their hair in a particular style or manner. Jacobs displayed great insensitivity and ignorance when he argued that it's funny how you don't criticize women of color for straightening their hair. The reason for the lack of criticism may be simple. White people have no corner on the straight hair marker, as witnessed by Asian and Latino follicles. Jacobs exposed his unconscious bias when he, of course, tried to claim the opposite. I don't see color or race. I see people. It's getting chilly. Let me turn off this fan over here. Well, thank you. Gratitude. Too bad that so many white folks believe that pretending not to see race is the way to address racism, and that when they get caught seeing race for their advantage, as in using the natural hairstyles of Black folks, they claim not to see race to their advantage. Jacob overlooks the point that Black folks wearing their hair in locks at work is often seen as inappropriate. Dreadlocks are widely viewed as incompatible with the nation's business culture. Black folk can't choose to wear their hair in locks and get work, an option that only white folks appear capable of choosing. Basically, Marc Jacobs wants us to shut up and not notice that he's ripping off Black culture. He is inspired by us and pays homage to us in a supposedly non-racial fashion, while he refuses to see color. You see how this can go. You see how this can go so quickly south. How almost just giving credit where credit is due. How about just giving credit where credit is due? The irony is that well-meaning white folk like Marc Jacobs draw their inspiration from a misreading of the civil rights movement and the example of Martin Luther King. The civil rights movement that inspired King, that he, wait a minute, and the example of Martin Luther King, the civil rights movement that inspired King, that he inspired in turn, has been appropriated too, and often in troubling ways. We end up with a greatly compromised view of the Black freedom struggle. In the narrative of American history, especially the kind told in our nation's textbooks, the movement didn't seek racial justice as much as it sought a race-neutral society. American history hugs colorblindness. If you can't see race, you certainly can't see racial responsibility. You can simply remain blind to your own advantages. When some of you say, white folks, when some of y'all say, I don't see color, you are either well-intended knaves or willful race evaders. In either case, you don't help the cause. The failure to see color only benefits white America. A world without color is a world without racial debt. Oh, that's why they say, Next time somebody tell you I don't see color, let them know a world without color is a world without racial debt. And America got racial debt. One of the greatest privileges of whiteness is not to see color, not to see race, and not to pay a price for ignoring it either, except, of course, when you're called on it. But even then, that price pales quite literally in comparison to the high price Black folk pay for being Black. We pay a price too for not even being able to derive recognition and financial reward for the styles that make the world want to be Black so bad that they don't mind looking like us as long as they never ever have to be us. If the appropriators can freely rip off our culture with no consequences, those who revise racial history, the fourth stage of white racial grief, are even less accountable for their deeds. The way of the racial revisionist, when it comes to Black life and history is simply to rewrite it. Their motto is, it didn't happen that way. There's a flood of writing that tells us that the Civil War wasn't really about slavery, but about the effort to defend states' rights. But my friends, white folks, you've got to put yourself in our place and see the absurdity of such a claim. Defend the right of the state to do what? To enslave Blacks. But even here, the irresistible logic of whiteness, that is, irresistible to white people themselves and to all of us who are subject to white whim, springs into full action. White American history is so powerful that even when it loses, it wins, at least in skirmishes within whiteness itself. From the white wing, there is the belief that the Civil War was fought over the ability of individual states to beat back a federal government out to impose its will. From the left wing, there's a belief that the Civil War was a conflict between the planter class and the proletariat. In each case, though, race as the main reason for the war is skillfully rewritten or really written out. Slavery is rewritten too. Some white Christian apologists contended that Black folks needed slavery to save their souls or to rescue their cultures. A contemporary twist on this argument radiates in thinkers like Dinesh D'Souza, Dinesh D'Souza, who claims that American Blacks brought here through slavery are now doing far better than their African kin. Some white critics argue that since Blacks sold other Blacks into slavery, bondage was a Black man's problem, not a white man's burden. But revisionists would much rather describe the dehumanization of Black folks as little more than a commercial transaction. It's another way of washing their hands of racial responsibility. The effort to rewrite history surfaces in how Malcolm X is treated in the mainstream. It hardly seems likely that the culture he fought with all his heart could be depended on to grasp his true meaning. Malcolm is often read as an apostle of violence, as a frightful figure consumed by destructive rage. Yet the truth is far more complex, and Malcolm was far more complicated. But isn't the autobiography of Malcolm X so enduringly appealing because it shows Malcolm X giving up on hatred as a means to racial justice? Malcolm X believed in the liberation of black folk from the mental and psychological chains of white supremacy. He was not committed to nonviolence as a way of life or method of social strategy. He believed that such a commitment prevents the full realization of black emancipation. Yet he was not personally violent. As Ossie Davis said in his eulogy, responding to the claim that Malcolm preached hate and was a fanatic and a racist, did you even talk to Brother Malcolm? Was he ever himself associated with violence or any public disturbance? The rage that flowed in Malcolm's veins was the rage against a force of whiteness that aimed to wash its black kin from the face of this earth. That was the rage that was in Malcolm. And the rage that needs to be in all of us too. The urge to rewrite black history occasionally gives way to the final stage of white racial grief, which is simply, when it comes to race, to dilute it. That is, to argue that bad stuff doesn't just plague black folk. To summarize, black stuff happens to everyone. This argument surfaced in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. Oh, we got Hurricane Katrina, the book. The storm certainly hit black folk, but it hit white folks too. This is the sordid version of reverse American exceptionalism. It is the same Me Too impulse that flares in the bitter battle against affirmative action. Beloved, white people, I can't help but notice that affirmative action is the bee in so many of your bonnets. You look around in your classrooms and you think every black person is there because they got an unfair shake from the system. You look at your job and you think that your black co-worker got an unjust nod of approval from the powers that be. You never stop to think how the history of whiteness in America is one long scroll of affirmative action. You never stop to think that Babe Ruth never had to play the greatest players of his generation, just the greatest white players. You never stop to think that most of our presidents never rose to the top because they bested the competition, just the white competition. White privilege is a self-selecting tool that keeps you from having to compete with the best. The history of white folk gaining access to Harvard, Princeton, or Yale is the history of white folk deciding ahead of the game that your ass was superior, that you were superior. You argue that slots in school should be reversed for your kin because, after all, they are smarter, more disciplined, better suited, and more deserving than inferior blacks. That's like concluding that the Cleveland Cavaliers can't possibly win the NBA championship because they are down 3-1 to the Golden State Warriors. Throw in the towel and call it a series. But they must play the series to determine the winner. Whiteness is having all the advantages on your side. The referees blowing the whistle for you. The arena packed with only your fans. In fact, whiteness means you never even have to play the game at all. At least not in head-to-head matchups with the talent and skill of black folks. You've been handed a history where you got most of the land, most of the money, made most of the money, got most of the presumptions of goodness and innocence and intelligence and thrift and genius and just about everything that is edifying and white. So it's hard to stomach your gripes about the few concessions, surely not advantages, to black folk and other folks of color that are suggested in affirmative action. And the irony is that in aggregate, when we add in white women and other able folk, it is white folk who are the overwhelming beneficiaries of affirmative action. That makes it sound like malarkey, when so many of you white folks complain that you ain't even being treated fairly. You say that our demand for justice causes you unjust suffering. You think you miss out on jobs that go to less qualified black folks. That may be one of the greatest claims to collective self-pity known to mankind. And yet you, white folks, with straight faces, keep telling black folk and other folks that we're the ones throwing self-pity parties around the country. There is more, beloved white folks. If black folk hurt because of race, you say you hurt because of class. Many of y'all can't even see that race makes class hurt more. And when many of you claim that black folks shouldn't get affirmative action, that the kids of, say, Barack Obama or some other rich black person shouldn't get a bid for a job or a space in a classroom usually reserved for white folk, you miss a crucial fact. Wealthy blacks didn't get a pass from Jim Crow. Well-to-do blacks didn't get an exemption from racism. Of course, our status mostly protects us from the worst that you can do to most of us, but it doesn't stop us as a class of folk from being denied opportunities that our smarts and our success should have guaranteed. Another way you dilute black history is to make yourselves the heroes of our struggles. You argue that there have always been good white folks helping us out. Let's just call it dilution through distortion. It is the sting of noblesse oblige. Just look at the movies. Films about slavery must feature a sympathetic white character who wants black folk to be free. John Quincy Adams must be the real hero of Amistad. Since Cinque, we read about him too. Since Cinque couldn't rebel effectively without help from his great white defenders. Ghost of Mississippi, about the murder of Medgar Evers, highlights the heroic white prosecutor, Bobby DeLaughter, who fought to open the case, and much less the brave black widow, Merle Evers, who fought white supremacy to make sure he paid attention. Mississippi Burning, supposedly about the killing of 3 civil rights workers in the 60s, celebrates 2 white FBI agents, heroes in a state where white terror rarely had better allies than silent white law enforcement or brutal local police. If such portrayals might be laid at the feet of last century's retrograde racial politics, the present is also flush with white savior movies. In Free the State of Jones, Matthew McConaughey plays real-life figure Newton Knight, a poor farmer from Jones County, Mississippi, who galvanized a group of white army deserters and escaped enslaved folks against the Confederacy during the Civil War. And in Freedom Writers, Hilary Swank plays a white teacher in Long Beach in the mid-90s who educates non-white high school students in the midst of inner city hardship. With white friends like that, black folk need no heroes of their own. My friends, white folks, we cannot deny that white folks of conscience were of enormous help to the cause of black struggle. We ain't never denied it. Black and white folk often form dynamic partnerships to combat racial inequality. But too often, white folk want to be treated with kid gloves or treated like adolescents who can't take the truth of grown-up racial history. So we have to spoon feed you that truth and put up with your white faces in our stories to make you see them, perhaps make you see them, perhaps like them, or at least to consider them legitimate and worthy of your attention. Appealing to your ego to protect our backsides. That's the margin. That's the bargain many of us are forced to make. Beloved, white folks, it's not just on the silver screen where you dilute and distort our history. In everyday life, the refusal to engage black folks tells on you through your exaggerated sense of insult when none should exist. Many of you are shocked that black folks have taken to reminding you that Black Lives Matter. Some of you are just peeved, but others of you are enraged. That's because you're used to distorting and diluting our history without much frontal challenge. You fail to realize that the nation has already set the standard for determining which lives matter and which don't. Black lives were excluded from the start. The reason Black Lives Matter needs to be shined is because American history ignored black history, didn't tell black stories. The founding documents of American society didn't include black life. When black folks say Black Lives Matter, they are in search of simple recognition that they are decent human beings, that they aren't likely to commit crimes, that they're reasonably smart, that they're no more evil than the next person, that they're willing to work hard to get ahead, that they love their kids and want them to do better than they did, that they are loving and kind and compassionate, and that they should be treated with the same respect that the average, nondescript, unexceptional white male routinely receives without fanfare or the expectation of gratitude in return. To argue that we matter is not to deny that these are things about us, that there are things about us that have always mattered more than they should, especially how we look. Black folk now glory in what was once the source of our grief, our black skin. Yes, I do. And yet the phenotypic differences among the races have made our culture stand out. With us, history was altered by color. Our skin, the economy of the epidermis, permits white America to dismiss us by differentiating us. But the world we made together, the history we forged in conflicted Congress, bears forever the mark of our offending yet transformative blackness. Our history, black history, has been denied, but it has never really been invisible. In fact, we have always been the most visible thing about America. Everyone else, all of your kin, the white immigrants, assimilated. But by your virtue of our very skin color, we stood out. Ironically, the very thing that bounded us to slavery also made it impossible for us to hide, to assimilate, to pass gently out of an outmoded institution. American history is the history of black subjugation. The Constitution is a racially hypocritical work of genius. The North and the South are divided because of us. The history of the 20th century in America is the history of our struggle against white America. And yet nowhere, apart from South Africa under apartheid, is the omission of black folks from history as glaring an omission. Our presence is so saturated, so embedded, so inextricable that white America's most reactionary, racist identities revolve around us. The Klan rally is grievous testimony to eradicate black identity. Eradicate. The Klan rally is grievous testimony to ineradicable black identity. And the most intimate and industrious spaces in white America, from the kitchen to the construction site, rest on our labor. There's no getting around blackness. In slavery, it was the intensity of our proximity of whiteness and black, of white and black, that defined us. In that sense, whiteness and blackness are an American invention. Our agency, our story is linked to your history, your story, black and white together. Beloved, white people, you must give up myths about yourself, about your history. That you are resolutely individual and not part of a group, that you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. You must also forcefully and finally come face to face with the black America you have insisted on seeing through stereotype and fear. Whiteness can no longer afford to hog the world to itself or claim that its burdens are the burdens of the universe. You must repent of your whiteness, which means repenting of your catastrophic investment in false grievances and artificial claims of injury. You must reject the easy scapegoating of black folk for white failures, white disappointments, and white exploitation. And we finished that chapter. We are on chapter 3, the plague of white innocence. Oh, honey, we're going to be learning about microaggressions and trigger warnings. Oh, my ancestors. Yes, we learning. Thank you so much. I thank you. Gratitude for your patience and your presence. I never take you for granted when you come here just for a few minutes and stuff. Well, hi, Juan. How you doing? And I just, I love y'all. My people, I love you to life and afterlife. And we're going to get through this. This is healing in us reading this. I'm finna go back to my channels, my black media myself. And I'm going to do a little bit more work on my gardening and stuff and set them outside because I'm on round 2 in my gardening and stuff. And I just want us to, just wake up and give us a little time and a little attention because we need it. And it's our time now anyway. It is our time. Fuck the dumb shit. It's a shame that it had to get this long for us to finally see ourselves and embrace and love ourselves and our stories, our history, our ancestors, us. But, we here. We made it. Now we just got to keep going. But I just want to leave us with some gratitude and, a song. Not a song, but, some gratitude. Yeah. I might not sing tonight and stuff. Gratitude. shields you from negativity. It makes you at least 25% happier. It rewires your brain. Gratitude eliminates stress and it heals you. Just being grateful. Gratitude improves your sleep. You can sleep like a baby. And I am tonight too. Gratitude boosts self-esteem and performance. It enhances the law of attraction. Your law of attraction. Whatever you want, you desire, your heart is beating for, it's coming to you. Be grateful. Claim it like you already got it. See it coming through the cosmos, dodging meteorites and asteroids and stuff. See it coming. Whatever you design and stuff. See it coming through the black hole. Oh, it came through the black hole. It wasn't sucked in it, honey. It bust right through it. You got to see it. See it coming down to you. See it coming down through the clouds. See it rolling on a star if you want to. Rolling down to you. It's coming. It's on its way. That's what we got to do. Gratitude, it improves your relationship. Just be grateful. Just be grateful. I don't care how small it is. Someone bring you, taste this. Let me know if it needs a little bit more spices in it. Be grateful. Just be grateful. It goes a long way. Gratitude got to be our attitude going forward. We changing our whole psyche, our whole mindset. We ain't living for white America and under white America no more. We living for us. We living for our babies. We doing this for their future before we get out of here. Before we transcend over, we got some things to set right. Boundaries to set. Oh, yeah, but how your body reacts to singing, we're going to go through it anyway. Singing joyful, expressive songs, y'all, can nourish your heart, balance your emotions, and it can uplift your spirit. Music. That's why they changed it from 432 to 440 to fuck us up. But we got to get it back. And to me, go back to your mama's music. Go back to them 70s, that good music. Yes, singing helps expand the lungs and improve your oxygen intake. Honey, you can hit them high notes with Stephanie Mills. Honey, your lungs is loving it. Bill Withers, A Lovely Day. Honey, he took everybody's breath. Showed that he was using everybody's oxygen, honey, but his lungs was just as pink, healthy. Honey, woo, I'm telling you. Honey, your liver. When you singing, it helps regulate emotions like frustration, anger, and stress right on out of your liver. We didn't even know that all that is accumulating in our liver. Not to mention if you're taking all them pills and stuff, you know, that shit is accumulating too. Everything is. We got to find these ways. And see, this right here, this don't cost nothing. This don't cost nothing. You can sing to yourself. You can sing out loud. You can sing however you want to. Gratitude. You ain't even got to tell nobody you grateful and stuff. You can do it to yourself and stuff. I give gratitude all the time. Don't ask me because I'll tell them in a minute. Honey, I'm meditating, giving gratitude to my ancestors. That's what I'm doing. Don't look at me like, oh, she's talking to herself. I'm talking to my ancestors. You ain't going to make me feel some type of way. Hell, as much as I done set y'all ass over there, seeing y'all ass just praying away to God and Jesus and stuff. But it seems like it's normal. Oh, yeah, look, she over there praying and stuff. She praying her heart out and stuff, you know. But then you see somebody like myself praying and meditating to my ancestors. There's got to be a problem. Oh, no, I'm going to let you know exactly what faith's doing. Don't be, oh, she over there talking to us. I'm talking to my ancestors. When you keep on, you're going to hear me tell them on your ass. Yes, honey. They here with me. I'm there for me. You know, and yeah, but singing can strengthen your kidney energy by fostering vocal expression. When you hitting them high notes with Stephanie Mills, your kidneys is too. Honey, your kidneys is in there singing with Barry White just like you is. Yep, it's healing. We got to get to the healing. We so traumatized. We are traumatized. All of us are. Ain't none of us had no healing. All of us have been forgetting and going along to get along. We ain't faced this. We ain't went within. Not about this. We haven't gone within about this. Some of our people know, face, I have healed. I've dealt with all that and stuff. Then, yeah, you have. But as a collective, we ain't dealt with this. We haven't. We haven't dealt with this. We ain't dealt with her ass. No. Why she sitting there want to act like she's so innocent and stuff. We're going to read about that tomorrow, honey. Yeah, we ain't dealt with her motherfucking ass. But she always want to claim how much she love. How much her ass love black babies. Thinking about what the hell her ass can do to them babies. That's what her ass about doing. I'm telling y'all black folks, you better make their ass stand up and be accountable for what the fuck has happened before it fuck around and end up happening again. I'm just saying for me and my people, because y'all ain't looking at this like you're supposed to be. Because if you was, and all of this right here, this is my first time reading this right here, knowing about any of this. It just said in Michael Eric Dyson, he hit the nail on the head when he said they just smoothed it over, slavery. Just made it like, slavery was bad, it was horrific and stuff, we got over it, and y'all got over it. Now, it's more than that. This is more. This was after slavery. This was after slavery. Yeah, smooth over after slavery if your motherfucking ass must, if you can. What about this? What the fuck y'all got to say about this, white America? You gonna have to face this. And your ass, you is too. Your ass gonna have to face this here and there. Since y'all claim Judgment Day. Oh, God, you gonna have to face God on Judgment Day for the things you did. You gonna have to face my ancestors. Sure will. Here and there. Yep, I'm just saying. But I love y'all black people. You my people. I come from y'all. Y'all come from me. We the same. We reflection. We are reflection. I don't care what nobody else say. I love you to life and afterlife. I ain't wishing no harm on other motherfucking people. Hell, do right. Shit, hell, they doing for themselves anyway. Hell, do right. It's always the right time to do the right thing. All I can do for their asses is live and let live. That's all I can do for them. Because, honey, if I had even an ounce of power from, like white folks got and stuff, I would tell everybody, get the hell up and get the fuck out of America. Get off this rock. Go back where you supposed to be at. Make it better there. But, it's wars everywhere and stuff. So, if folks got to come here, because of the war, fine. Come and leave. Don't come and fucking stay. You're supposed to come here for sanctuary, for protection. And then why come it ain't just the women and the kids coming for protection? Ain't the men supposed to keep their ass over there where the war at and fucking fight or something? I'm just like, what the fuck? But I digress, though. I'm just so thankful we woke right now. We know what's going on. We here with all of this reawakening, Black America. We in another awakening. We are in our second awakening. Well, it's really more than that. But, I have to go into that another time and stuff. But, we are in a reawakening again. Yeah, we're white folks. Got to get away from them this time. That's it and that's all. Yep, to save us, we do. To save us, we do. Hey, Mike TV, I love you, my brother. I was watching on. I know you was, Call Dog. I love y'all, my brothers. And happy Father's Day again every day. Happy Father's Day every day. We finna cut all them holidays and shit out and celebrating here and celebrating there and stuff. And every day you ain't got to take your ass out and spend no money. It's just Father's Day every day. We got to make this spiritual where we celebrate it every day. We just celebrate it. Just be happy to be a father, your babies. We ain't got to go out and be spending money and stuff like that to celebrate us. Them black babies. I love our black babies. To heal our people. We only here for two reasons, have black babies and heal black people. We ain't here for all that other stuff. Shit, that right now, it looked to me like we helping white America to solve their problem. Because they worried about white genetic survival. That's what Dr. Francis Cress Welsing taught us. And now it's like, damn, so we helping them to live on? By having babies with them. Yep, we helping their ass to live on and stuff. I don't know when they gonna sound a call out, for all of the mixed babies and stuff to, hey, do your thing. Let's make more white, have white babies, get with white spouses so that them little kids can come out on the white side instead of, getting with whoever they love and them kids come out color, just a whole bunch of bullshit we've been on and stuff, but it's broken now. We seeing all this shit. Let's just call it like it is. Shit, I'm tired. I'm sleeping. I'm finna get me some rest. It's 1:30 on the dot. Well, 1:31 now. But I love you and I thank you for being here. And I'll see y'all tomorrow at noontime. Unless I got my grandbabies with me. Because, yeah, they don't need to see this channel at all. You know. But I love y'all.